Hey everyone, James again with TFBTV. Sorry about the creepy background here. I don't have the opportunity to film in the daylight this week, so this will just have to do for now. Bear with me. But I had a popular video a couple of weeks ago. Some of you asked for a follow-up. You remember maybe 2-3 weeks back, I did a top 10 best-selling guns of the summer, handguns edition. Well, of course, you guys said, hey, will you do best-selling long guns? So that's what we're doing today. All right, so we got this information from USC, that's United Sporting Companies. It's a chain of distributorships. They polled between 300 and 400 stores, got their numbers to find out what the best selling handguns and long guns were in those 300 to 400 stores. So I've got the list of long guns, and there are a lot of surprises on here, and there's actually a lot of interesting choices, and it makes you kind of wonder why some of these guns sell better than others. But maybe you guys can help me out in the comments, and we can figure out together why some of these guns are a little bit higher on the list or a little bit lower on the list than they should be. Without further ado, number 10 is the Springfield Armory Saint. But this one's interesting to me because it competes alongside a lot of entry-level ARs, which we're going to see more of as this list moves on. But it actually has a few really high-end features. For example, you have an M16 or a full auto bolt carrier group instead of the AR-15 bolt carrier group. It has a 1-in-8 twist, which is pretty sophisticated instead of the usual 1-in-9 twist or the mil-spec 1-in-7 twist. I like 1-in-8 twists a lot. You see them on a lot of match barrels because they can stabilize a wider range of 223, 5.56 projectiles than 1-in-7 or 1-in-9. So I thought that was an interesting and sophisticated decision. It also uses Bravo Company furniture. You've got Bravo Company stocks and handguards on a lot of their entry-level models, and I think that's pretty impressive because a lot of its competition, they're using just standard M4 handguards and stocks, and you're getting probably $75, $80 worth of value from that furniture alone. And there are a few other features that I think most buyers would look past whenever they go to a big box store to buy an AR-15. It uses a mid-length gas system with a 16-inch barrel instead of the usual carbine-length gas system with the 16-inch barrel. Now, many AR-15 aficionados, experts, believe that the 16-inch barrel that you need to have in a civilian gun needs to have the mid-length gas system. The carbine-length gas system is borrowed from the M4. The M4 is a 14.5-inch barrel, and it's got a carbine-length system. The mid-length system has an 1.5-inch longer gas system to accommodate the 1.5-inch longer barrel. Purportedly increases reliability, decreases wear and tear, decreases recoil. It also features a tungsten H buffer, a heavy buffer. You don't see that on most entry-level guns or guns that you could pick up at Academy, right? Finally, it uses a 158 Carpenter bolt. That's mil-spec, and again, this is something that I think if you discuss this with somebody who's just interested, they just go to Academy and they want an AR-15, they're really gonna look past. So I would like to see the Saint higher on the list, but it doesn't surprise me that it's only number 10, because it really has a lot of features that I think your average purchaser wouldn't appreciate. Now moving on to number 9, and I'm gonna pick up the pace a little bit because we actually have a 3-way tie for the number 9 position. You have the Mossberg Maverick 88 pump shotgun, 394 units. You've got the Kel-Tec Sub 2000 that sold 395 units, and you've got the Ruger Precision Rimfire that sold 399 units. So I figured those were close enough that I'd just lump them all in at number 9. So why is the Maverick 88 number 9 on this list? Well, it costs less than $200 retail, and it's a pretty dang good shotgun. It's reliable, it's functional, and I have definitely used worse shotguns for more money than the Maverick 88, so you can see why this gun's so popular. The Kel-Tec Sub 2000, this one really doesn't surprise me all that much. It's a pistol caliber carbine that's very affordable, inexpensive, lightweight. You can get it to take Glock mags, Smith & Wesson mags, Beretta mags, depending on which model you get, but perhaps the coolest feature of all is it's super portable because it breaks in half like a park bench when your mom sits on it. So it's a pretty neat gun, I love it, and it doesn't surprise me at all that it's in the top 10. Now, one that is kind of a shocker to me is the Ruger Precision Rimfire. This is a $400 bolt action 22 that's all gussied up. It's a little bubbaed up for my taste, or maybe a little tactical depending on how you want to look at it. And I was very surprised to see that this was one of the better selling guns on the list. But, you know, again, this is one of those mysteries that you guys can help me try to figure out. Moving on to number 8, Henry 22 lever actions. Again, that's one that surprises me, but I guess I'm kind of the idiot because it looks like they've sold over 1 million of these things, which, I mean, I don't think I've ever even handled one, but apparently they're popular. So I guess congratulations, Henry. I mean, it looks like a fun time, right? I mean, you can get like 15 to 20 rounds of 22 in the tube under there. Pretend like you're Wild Bill Hickok or Django. You know, so whatever, I guess that's cool. Number 7's an even bigger shocker to me. That is the Smith & Wesson M&P 15-22. It sold 561 units. And the reason why I say it's a shocker, I just don't understand why somebody would pay $400 for a 22 caliber AR-15 when you could just invest that money in an AR-15 and then drop like $200 on a CMMG conversion kit. I mean, I don't know, I don't understand. I'm sure there's economic reasons, right? I mean, I know you can get a regular AR-15 for $400, $450 these days, and I could see you're gonna spend another $200 to get a conversion kit. But I mean, I guess really, that's the only way I could see this as being appealing. It's like you absolutely cannot spend more than $400 on an AR-15, and you've either got to get one in 22 or 223, then I guess this is a gun for you. But I don't know, you guys, again, help me out in the comments. All right, I told you there were gonna be more 223 AR-15s on the list. Number 6 is the Ruger AR-556. I would say that I'm surprised that it's higher rated than the Saint because I think the Saint's a better gun for the money, but again, I think we've already gone over this, right? I think the Saint has a lot of features that your average buyer isn't going to care about or pick up on when they go. They're just probably gonna see that the Saint's like $100 more than the AR-556, but that's not all bad news. The AR-556 does have some pretty good features. It also has a 1-in-8 twist barrel, and that barrel is cold hammer forged. That's pretty neat. It also uses a chromed bolt carrier group, which is something that you typically don't see, again, in entry-level AR-15s. Now, some strikes against it, it uses some weird, cheap alloy that I haven't heard of before for the bolt. It uses M4, the M4 carbine length gas system, as I discussed when we were talking about number 10, the Saint. I was really laying the predicate for a discussion of all these AR-15s that are higher on the list. And look at that. Oh, just regular plain ass AR-15 furniture that you guys are just gonna throw away because nobody will even buy it from you. Or I guess if you're in California, you can smelt it and make it into straws, whatever the case may be. That's unfortunate. But that said, this thing costs $550 or less. So again, this is one, it's from a trusted manufacturer, Ruger. You know it's gonna have a great warranty. So you can see why this is appealing to your average buyer. Moving to the top 5, the third gun from Ruger on this list, that is the Ruger PC9. Now guys, this is a newer gun, and so I'm pretty excited to see it spring to the top of the list like this. Now, it's not new. Ruger had a PC9 back in the day, I don't know, like 20 years ago, that was similar. It was a pistol caliber carbine. It looked like a regular old rifle, something that grandpa would use, you know, maybe it looked like M1 carbine. But it would take, I think, Ruger P Series pistol magazines, and you could shoot 9mm out of it. Well, Ruger they brought the concept back and they outdid themselves because this one takes Glock mags or Ruger mags. It uses Ruger Security 9 mags, and that's a pretty cool feature. It also breaks down like the Ruger 1022 Takedown, which is a phenomenal 22. Wonder if you're gonna see that on the list. And it also has a threaded muzzle device, so it'll make for a great suppressor host. But you're also looking at, again, $550 MSRP, so it's really inexpensive, and you know it's gonna be a high quality gun. Moving on to the number 4, and this one, I am both surprised and unsurprised by this one. This is the last AR-15 of the list, the best-selling AR-15 of the list, and that is the Smith & Wesson M&P 15. Now, I remember back in the day when the Smith & Wesson M&P 15 first came out, and by the way, I'm sure all these manufacturers are like, God, why didn't we think of this sooner? Some of you older guys like me might remember back when you had your ABCs, right? Armalite, Bushmaster, Colt. Then you had like Rock River, DPMS, they were in the mix. But really, there weren't that many people making AR-15s. If you wanted a cheap one, you had to go to Olympic Arms, if you guys could remember that. But now, for less money than Olympic Arms, you probably get something these days that's twice as good. So the Smith & Wesson M&P 15, I'm sure it's not garbage, but what I absolutely hate is when you go to somebody's page and you look for the specs and there are no technical specs on their AR-15, because there is such a wide range of specifications, components, manufacturing materials, and processes like proofing, cold hammer forging, magnetic particle inspection, all these things that might not mean a lot to most people, but they really speak to the overall quality of the AR-15. So it's a real pet peeve for me when I can't deduce how good an AR-15 is or isn't because they don't have the specs on their website. But do you think the average buyer at Walmart or Academy, does Walmart still sell AR-15s anymore? I don't even know these days. But I mean, do you think they give a shit? No, they don't give a shit. They just see Smith & Wesson, trusted manufacturer. I'm sure it's a great AR-15. But look at that extremely shifty lack of specifications. Makes you wonder a little bit. All right, guys, we're breaking into the top 3 best-selling long guns of the summer. And I want everybody to pause the video right now and just take a guess. Take a guess what those top 3 guns are. You don't even have to get the order right. It should be obvious to you what 3 guns have been missing from this top 10 list. And if it's not obvious to you, then you're weak, your bloodline is weak, and you will not survive the winter. Moving on to number 3, the Mossberg 500. I lumped the 590s in here too, but they sold 911 units. Now here's something that's really interesting. Almost half of those, 450 of those Mossberg 500s and 590s were Mossberg Shockwaves. Now Mossberg, they were the first guys to ring the bell on the whole, like, let's skirt the law by making it like kind of a pistol, 14-inch with a pistol grip. You don't have to get a stamp or anything for it. It's not an AOW. So they were the first ones to ring the bell on that, and right now they're reaping the rewards. Now the Mossberg 500, of course, wildly popular. They've sold 10 million of these things. They're used by the US military. They're cheap. They're reliable. They've been around for decades. People love them, so it's no wonder. But I know a lot of you people are going to be pretty upset because I think you know one of the next guns that's coming up, and you're going to say, hey, Mossberg's better. My Mossberg 500's better. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's not better selling. Moving on to number 2, the Ruger 1022. I hope you guys saw that coming from a mile away. The Ruger 1022, of course, one of the most popular 22s of all time. Ruger just beating ass on this list. They have a ton of guns on this top 10. They sold 944 units. Very fun, very popular gun. It's really no wonder that it's so high on this list. They're inexpensive, they're reliable. They have an insane amount of aftermarket options. I actually read that now they make a replacement component for every component of the gun, so you could hypothetically buy all third-party components and completely manufacture a Ruger 1022 from third-party components. But again, you guys saw this coming. You knew it was going to be number 1, number 2, number 3. It's number 2. So with that being said, you guys know what the number 1 is. Say it with me, the Remington 870. That's going to piss a lot of you people off. I know that there's been a lot of anti-Remington sentiment post-Freedom Group acquisition, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this is probably one of the most popular shotguns, if not the most popular shotgun of all time, with over 11 million units manufactured and sold in the past 50 or 60 years. This is very popular, of course, with law enforcement. I think that's where they get their chief audience in terms of government purchases, no pun intended. I'm a big fan. I like the steel receiver more than the aluminum receiver that you find in the Mossberg 500. So I'm really not surprised to see these shotguns as number 1. They sold 1,143 units, and only 260 of those are the TAC-14. The TAC-14 being Remington's answer to the Mossberg Shockwave. So the Shockwave actually wiped the floor with the TAC-14, but again, I think that's because they came out with a cool name for it. It's the Shockwave. It's not the TAC-14. So I think that and being first on the market really made an impression on buyers. Everyone knows what the Shockwave is. Some of you may not have heard of the Tech 14, so it only accounted for a quarter of the Remington 870 sales. Well guys, thanks for being with me for another top 10 best-selling guns list. This was for summer 2018. If this series continues to be popular, I'll just keep trucking with it. I'll keep making them for every season, every year, if you guys continue to watch it. Tell me if you like it or not in the comments. Help me out. Help me figure out some of the guns on this list. Why aren't there some of them that are higher? Why aren't there some of them that are lower? I don't know, you tell me. Anyways, thanks a ton for watching. Thank you as usual to our sponsor, Ventura Munitions, the best ammo company and retailer in the entire world. Thank you to Blue Alpha Gear. They make the best belts in the world. They are the Ruger 1022 and Mossberg 500 and Remington 870 combined of sponsors. Those guys are, so I love them. Thank you so much. Thank you most of all to our Patreon supporters. Couldn't be here without you guys. See you next week.